This is 365 Sports, powered by Sikkim365.com. Welcome to the Triple Option. Here's your host, Paul Catalina.
Alongside Stephen Simcox today, as we had to flip around our days this week, Stephen.
And you flipped around my side of the desk.
I did, because I was over here recording something earlier. And so I think it's good to change up your perspective on things.
I don't know. I feel like, who was the team that painted the visiting locker room pink back in the day?
It was Iowa,
right?
Iowa did it, yeah.
Kind of feel like you're doing that to me right now.
Maybe so.
Trying to throw me off my game.
By the way, I'd like to call attention to, once again, our green gridiron helmet behind me here. Hold on, I'll show it to Stephen. This is great TV here, but this is our green gridiron, one of our partners.
That looks awesome.
Made us this helmet. So in case you didn't see it on yesterday's show.
You got a visor in there?
Yeah. All that.
Did you ever wear a visor when you played?
No.
That looks like the helmet that like Willie Beeman would wear.
Yeah. It really does look like
Doesn't
helmet.
it?
Yeah. My name is Willie. Willie Beeman.
Best fictional quarterback of all time?
Oh gosh.
Joe Kane.
Yeah. Joe didn't play a lot.
He didn't need to.
He had that like, gone
to.
for rehab stint in the middle of the movie.
Yeah.
Shane Falco's got to be up there.
He's good.
Yeah.
Vince Howard, Michael B. Jordan, young Michael B. Jordan in Friday Night Lights.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Kurt Warner. No, that story couldn't have been real.
Did you watch that movie?
I have not. No, not yet.
I never did. No.
Amanda wants to watch it, and I kept kind of putting it off, even though I love Zachary Levi. I love him. Love him. One of my favorite actors. I just haven't.
The trailer made it look like a Hallmark movie.
Yes, that's why I'm having a hard time. Well, which is probably why she wants to watch it. Yeah, she's loves Hallmark movies. Yeah, no. We had an argument the other day. An argument, not a disagreement, a tiff. Like, just like one of those weird things that you're like, you find yourself like going back and forth with, and you're like, I don't know why we're both trying to die on this hill. Mm-hmm. But she went to go see the Blake Lively film, It Ends With Us.
Okay. And
she's like, I think you would like it. I'm like, well, why? Like, what about this movie? She's like, well, you like most movies. I said, that's true. Mm-hmm. Like, if you've made an effort and I can tell what you're doing, I'm not going to trash it, but I don't like all movies. I mean, there's bad ones and there's ones that are, or ones that I don't care to watch, and
sure.
Even movies that are really good, like that are award-winning movies. Sometimes I'm like, I don't think I'm going to get into this. For example, there was a movie from a couple years ago called Women Talking, about like a group of like women, and I want to say it was like in the 1800s that were, talking about some bad things were happening to them, and like, rallying together. And Frances McDormand was in it, and she's fantastic. But I was like, you know what?
Not for me. Yeah.
Not for me. I get the gist. Men are bad. We've had a bad history. I don't need 2 hours and 52 minutes of this.
Sure.
I'm okay. I got it. I got the gist. And so she's like, but I think you would. I'm like, I mean, I've watched the trailer with you like 4 times trying to figure out where in the world I would find interest in this movie. And I can't. And she's mad. I'm like, yeah, but you won't watch a Star Wars movie with me, or like some kind of slapstick buddy comedy. And she's like, that's different. I'm like, no, it's not.
Yeah.
It's just the other side of that coin.
Yeah. My wife's like that. She doesn't like sports, and that's fine. Like, I get it. It's not everybody's thing.
No.
But she doesn't really make an effort to engage with it. But my goodness, Real Housewives is on the TV. I'm supposed to sit down and like see what's going on. Mm-hmm. I don't want to do that.
No, and like there are lines that you have to draw. Now, look, she's got me into Big Brother and The Amazing Race, which I love.
Sure,
The Amazing Race. I really enjoy Big Brother. I've gotten into these things that I enjoy them. I like Big Brother because it's like if you put stupid people and like a couple smart ones into a house, and then you can't let them read or watch TV, and they just have to be in the house. And then occasionally you kind of like, all right, you guys are going to climb up this slide covered in butter and try to answer trivia questions. I'm like, I'm in for that.
Yeah. I mean,
because like you'd be so bored. You're like, I don't care if I get butter all over me. It doesn't matter. I'm trying to win $750,000 here at the end of this thing. So that entertains me. And then to see people like, okay, we got to get Steven out. All right. So like the thing is, we got to get Steven out. Steven's too good of a player. I really don't like the way he's doing these things. And you're like, I mean, who cares? Like, but figure out a way, like the smartest ones are the ones who figure out a way to win the thing without like people knowing that they masterminded their demise.
Is the pot really $750K now?
Yeah.
So there's this show on History Channel called Alone.
Mm-hmm.
And I've watched a couple seasons. Do you know about the show, Garrett?
No, I do.
Okay. So people are literally just camping in the most remote places in the world.
Yeah.
So like out in the woods in Canada where it's super cold. And the premise of the show is last person that's there and can survive wins. So either, people tap out or they get medical checks like once a week. And if they've lost too much weight or it's getting concerned about their health, they'll make them leave. And so there's like, you're by yourself, you have a GoPro, you're doing all the filming by yourself, GoPro and some cameras. The winner gets $100,000. That's not life-changing money.
I mean, not enough to
it's a lot of money.
Not enough to possibly get scurvy.
Yeah. You're just out there by yourself. You could die. And if you win, you get $100K. Like that's
okay.
That's tough.
I actually do know the show that you're talking about now that you describe it. My brother-in-law, who's very outdoorsy, tried to get on it. And I was like, why would you want to do that? And then I kind of was like, oh, he wants to have an excuse to get away from my sister. So eating grubs in the woods.
I'm gonna have to take out the trash for 2 weeks. Just get do my own thing, man.
Yeah. So I was like, oh, okay, I get it. I promise you, if you went to the people in Alone and said, hey, what made you do this? And like, oh, I just really want to challenge myself. You're like, I ran out of excuses to leave. And so the chance to win $100,000 is the only thing I could tell my wife was that I did. So I'm here.
Yeah. One season, a guy shot a moose and he killed a moose about midway through his time. And he just lived off that meat the rest of the time. And he won. And his wife came out there, and you can kind of tell he was like, I'd be down to just stay out here for a couple more weeks.
Yeah. Like they're in broken marriages.
Yeah. I got all this moose meat.
Yeah. I mean, I did it once. Like now I can now I don't have the rules of these other things. I could bring other things out here.
Right.
I could build a cabin. I don't need to just stay in this tent. I've already won the money. I've got $100,000. That'll go a long way in the
Canadian woods. Yeah.
I mean, it's going to go a long, long way. That's like $1 million. It's like $1 million in Cocoa Beach, Florida. That's what that is.
He's got a whole estate up there.
Yeah. Just guys, oh,
sorry, honey, I'm still playing.
Yeah. And here's your wife. Oh, hi, honey.
Glad you made it. Thought this was a remote place where you can't get here.
Yeah. Thought me, rather living in the woods with no electricity or toilets was kind of
a good deterrent,
an indicator of how much I think this is falling apart.
Well,
but no, I'll be back.
Yeah, let's fly in a plane together across the world. That sounds fun.
Yeah. So Steven, let's get into some Big 12 news to start off the show. Brett Yormark announced that the conversations about expansion with UConn are paused.
Mm-hmm.
Suspended. What was the verbiage he used?
I believe it was suspended. Let me double check.
Suspended.
This feels like, would you say he's at odds with the decision makers right now about this?
It's paused.
Okay.
I would say that the decision makers don't see the urgency to add UConn.
Okay.
Not to say they would never add UConn, but
right. Why are we doing
they have no additive value right now. Like basketball, other than, he believes that basketball is getting 30 cents on the dollar to what they
deserve.
Yeah. And so adding UConn helps up that 30 cents on the dollar to getting $1 on the dollar.
I think I totally understand what his thought process is with basketball.
Mm-hmm.
I get it. Best basketball conference in the nation. That should mean something. Historically, it hasn't. I imagine he, as a salesman, in his mind is just like, well, I can sell this, in a way that nobody else has. But it also just feels like this is kind of his pet cat, and he really wants to get it done.
Yeah.
I think eventually it'll get done. But as you said, maybe they don't see the need to bring them in right now. So yeah, I wonder if it starts to cause some friction, because this is the second time now that he's kind of been like, all right, this is my thing. And they've pushed back and said, you know what? We're not feeling that.
Yeah. I don't understand. I didn't understand the urgency of it. And what is going to happen between now and 2031 with UConn football? Are they going to build a new stadium? Are they going to do I just don't know.
What's another thing that to consider is what's going to happen in that time frame with the financial disparity between the Big Ten and the SEC. Like, the SEC is already making a push to make basketball better as a whole, and if they have more money to throw at it, how much longer does that close the gap at some point?
I think that's probably why he's trying to react to what else is going on around that. But there's just no reason to do it right now. Like, it's not additive in the moment. And I don't think, and here's the other thing, the presidents might want to do it, but clearly Fox didn't want to do it. Like, he thought that maybe if ESPN was gung-ho for it, and knowing that ESPN is founded by UConn alums, like, they have UConn running through the DNA of ESPN, that he thought, like, okay, well, we can do this, like there'll be enough here. And then maybe if they're committing this much more money, then Fox will be like, okay, well, we'll kick in. Mm-hmm. But Fox is like, nah, I think they'd be like, come to us when you have an ACC team and then we'll talk,
Maybe he also sees this as, I feel like the SEC, like, I think it's true, but they've also done such a good job of branding with football. Mm-hmm. Like, I think if we walked out on the street here and we polled 20 people, regardless of their sports knowledge, if we were like, what's the best conference in college football, they would probably all say the SEC. Mm-hmm. Maybe some homers would say Big 12 or whatever. But I don't know if like I feel like people that follow sports and follow college basketball would be like, oh yeah, Big 12, amazing basketball conference. I'm not sure if just your casual, sports watcher would think, oh yeah, Big 12, historically really good basketball, because it's been more recent. But you add UConn, then that's a brand that like everybody knows for that sport.
Yeah.
So that's another.
I mean, there are things that make sense, but there's just like, they can't just take what they want. That's the thing. Like, UConn's not going to be like, okay, you can have basketball and nothing else. Like, you can have men's and women's basketball. It's like, that's what, if you want just that, like, they're going to want, well, we want you to have everything. We want to be everything. We want to, okay, we'll wait on football, but we want to be in baseball and stuff like. And I don't think there's just enthusiasm to add all that and split any kind of money and not see anything from football, which is the real additive thing, as where if you get to a point 6 years from now where you can really expand and things have gotten bigger and bigger and bigger, you can tag UConn in no matter what, as long as you hide them behind like an NC State and a Duke and a Pitt or something like that,
Yeah.
And I'm not saying those. I'm just saying in the scenario where the ACC would fall apart.
And those schools are available.
At this point, I really don't think that that's that realistic. So I think the ACC will try to find a way to stay together. But
Brett just also seems like, and I say this in a complimentary way, because I think it's a big strength for what he's doing. He just seems very restless. Mm-hmm. I mean, he's almost like the person in your fantasy football league that's trying to make a trade every week.
You mean me?
I'm that guy too.
Yeah.
I'm like, every week I'm like, this is the whole point. I'm trying to be a GM. I'm trying to like rework my roster to try to get to the team that's going to make sense.
If I'm bad in fantasy football, let me tell you. And fantasy baseball, oh boy. We'll get a league of fantasy baseball. I'll get Garrett into it. We'll do a fantasy baseball league next year.
Okay.
We'll get Chris Allman, but you'll see. I'm the Brett Yormark of that. Like,
just wheeling and dealing.
Like, Paul, I don't want Luis Robert. I don't want him. Yeah, but he'll be good later. You have 4 shortstops. Let's do this.
I'm still salty about last year. I had somebody who was going to take, like, I can't remember which tight end it was. Like the middle of the road tight end. They just desperately needed a tight end. And they were going to send me Lamar Jackson in return. And the other members of the league voted it down because they were like, this is silly, which was another whole thing. But bottom line is, like, he just seems like a dude who is, he's not going to sit on his hands, which is good. That's what you want your commissioner to do. Yeah. But then there are going to be things that he brings to the table that you're like, all right, let's pump the brakes here, maybe.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that's where they are right now, right? That's where they are in the whole, all right, let's just see. And because I don't think that the ACC has an appetite for UConn at all.
No, I wouldn't say so.
So, because that would be it would have been the easiest thing, not just now, but like 10 times over the last 20 years. They could have been like, hey, UConn, come over here.
Come on now.
Yeah.
You would make sense.
Yeah. They have no problem doing that. But now that it's on pause with UConn, then I think we're getting a package or several packages. Emery, what is it?
Brian and Ashley.
Oh, okay.
Oh. We can't do a live unboxing video.
Oh, well, yeah. Bummer. That box right there.
I'm seeing
empty.
a single shot arcade basketball game. So what's up with that?
Oh, I guess probably for the tailgate.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. Okay.
Well, we might need to break it out in segment 2.
I mean, we gotta figure out if it works or not.
Yeah, just test it, see if it works.
Yeah.
You know?
I was hoping it was gonna be some of the furniture that we've ordered for the studio, but
okay.
Yeah. Instead it's just a thing that we don't get to play with. So bummer. Thanks a lot, UPS.
Just take a little swing at UPS. That's a good idea.
I mean, they're just bringing the box in. They don't determine whether you want it or not, or like who.
They don't control what it is.
Like who gets to play with it.
Just some guys like, I got to get it off my truck.
Yeah. You ever, when you were a kid, like you see your parents get a present for a kid that you wanted, like for a birthday party, and you're like, oh man, Garrett's getting that thing I wanted. You know, and you'll probably get it later, but they're like, well, we might as well get this thing. And then you're like, well, freaking Garrett's got that thing. That's kind of how I feel right now. I do
know that feeling. And I'll tell you, when you got 4 kids, when it's somebody's birthday, you get to see that feeling play out in real time. Every single time the birthday rolls around, just like 3 other kids that are like, oh, gosh dang it.
Well, lives in this house, like,
yeah, I know.
You know, if you guys have a good relationship with your sibling, then maybe they'll let you use it.
Right.
Yeah. If you're respectful of their things.
Logic just kind of goes out the window, though.
Yeah. Now, my sister and I were far enough apart where I didn't let her touch any of my stuff because she was reckless.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, I get some of that too.
Yeah, where it's like, no, I'm not. I mean, I wouldn't care if you played with it. I can't play with everything all the time.
Right.
The problem is that if I let you play with it once, then neither of us get to play with it again because you've broken it.
It's broken. Yeah, that's right.
Let's be reasonable here.
That's how it goes.
I was like a young lawyer as a 9-year-old.
Just got to see in the cause and effect.
It didn't come out that way. It was like, no, you're gonna break it. But
it wasn't that polished yet.
But you know, that was my point. That's what I was thinking.
That was in your mind. You're like, this is the conclusion I've come to.
Yeah.
Going through the thought process.
Yeah. Wrapping it up, UConn's not going to be in the Big 12 anytime soon. When we come back, Stephen, I'm going to ask you this question. Who do you believe the luckiest team is historically in college football?
Okay.
I have a team that I think it is. Because whenever things go bad, they come out of the darkness and they're set up well as where there's not many of the teams that this happens to. And it's not only that, it's the teams that are around them also don't take advantage of them being where they are. So we're going to talk about that next, and we'll see if you have a team that can match it.
Okay.
This is 365 Sports.
365 Sports, powered by Sikkim365.com. Welcome to the Triple Option. Here's your host, Paul Catalina.
Alongside Stephen Simcox. Thanks to all our wonderful sponsors, by the way. I don't say that enough. But Stephen, Paxton thinks the luckiest team in the country is Alabama. And he's not about to like what I'm going to say. They're not lucky. They've been good.
They've had the greatest coach ever.
The two greatest coaches ever. That's not luck.
Yeah, that's not a lucky team.
Yeah. No.
Also, they went through, before Saban, they went through a pretty dark time for them.
Yeah, between Stallings and Saban was pretty dark. Okay. I will tell you who the luckiest team is. It is the University of Texas. And here's why.
Okay.
See, Alabama's not lucky in the fact that when they are down and when they were down, every team around them capitalized on it. Everybody capitalized on it. Between Gene Stallings and Nick Saban, Florida won national titles, Florida State won national titles, Miami won national titles, Ohio State,
Auburn,
LSU, especially I say Ohio State, but they're competing with, but all that time, especially teams in the South won national titles that were there, that they're recruiting directly against. Tennessee won a national title, so you had everybody around you that you recruit against the most win national titles.
Yes.
So that's not to get out of that is not luck. That's skill to fight through. The SEC is their dominance is built on Alabama's back, but the foundation of it wasn't Alabama. They were the ones that built up the building, but the foundation was all those other schools, Tennessee and LSU and Florida, and those schools winning before Nick Saban arrived and changed the trajectory of the whole threw it way into overdrive.
Mm-hmm.
Texas in 2009 has their last good season for a long time until really good season until a year ago. They had the couple years where they kind of popped up above, but they lost key games. They weren't really that good,
They had,
Sam
1 year with
Ellinger
Ellinger.
said, we're back, and then they weren't, so
it's a great Sam Ellinger impression.
So all of that, that they went through. In that time, did Oklahoma win a national title? No, they were good. They didn't win a national title. Did Texas A&M, outside of changing conferences, do anything to change who they are fundamentally?
No, they didn't.
Nope. Baylor won a conference titles. TCU got better. Won a national title? No. Nebraska changed leagues and ran away from Texas and went to the Big Ten. Are they better now than they were when they were in the Big 12? No, they're not. Colorado's been back and forth now into the conference. They were a team that even beat Texas in a Big 12 championship game once. Did anybody around Texas use Texas's downtime to really better themselves when it comes to the big things?
No, not on a major championship level.
No.
Not in a recruiting level, certainly, because they still recruited at a high clip even when they were down, and now they're back in the driver's seat again.
So, Colt McCoy injury, bad luck. Alabama got lucky. That's Paxton. Okay. Alabama maybe got lucky that time.
Right.
But then to do it over and over and over again.
That wasn't the last title they won. Yeah.
No, that wasn't their, hurting Colt McCoy wasn't their lot. They're not living in a trailer park and hitting a lottery ticket. That's not what happened. And all of a sudden they're golly gee, this is not the Beverly Hillbillies. They were already elite. They were already well-financed and all this, and then just reorganized. They got a new CEO, and all of a sudden they were back in business. Boeing needs to do the same thing. Boeing lost their Bear Bryant. They haven't found their Nick Saban. And,
they just that was the beginning of their run, but it wasn't.
Yeah, I mean that was the start. Like that was the start of it.
Even if they lost that title game, they would have ended up being a historically great dynasty.
Yeah, I mean they won 5, 6. I mean whatever they won. They were there. Historically, the best program ever. That's not luck. That's skill. You know, Tiger Woods made a couple of lucky putts in his career, but the fact that he was in position to make those lucky putts over and over and over again doesn't mean that he was lucky. That meant that he was, you know,
he was good.
He was skilled, and then he
capitalized.
He capitalized when he needed a little bit of luck. And Texas now, 3 years ago, decides that they're going to leave the SEC, or they're going to leave for the SEC, leave the Big 12. At that time, you'd have been like, well, they're about to get their ass handed to them over and over and over again. And we don't know that they're not. Like, they haven't played a game against an SEC team yet as an SEC member, but they appear set up well to do it. Look, they had Alabama on the road on their schedule last year. And they went in and they found Jalen Milroe at his lowest moment and won. And they took advantage of that.
Yep.
Now, the skill part hasn't even come into this for them yet, in that, all right, well, you've announced you're going to the SEC. And guess what? The last year you have in the Big 12, you're going to go play the king of the SEC at their place. And it's going to be Nick Saban's last year. He kind of knows it's probably going to be his last year. And he's got a quarterback problem for the first time ever, which he did solve a couple of weeks later.
Mm-hmm.
But in that moment, they had a quarterback problem. Now, here they are, first year in the SEC. And the schedule machine pops out their schedule. And really looks like, all right, well, it could be worse. They're only playing 2 teams that won 8 games last year in the SEC. Now, meanwhile, Oklahoma didn't get as bad as Florida, but they got a rough go of it.
Yeah.
All right. Okay. So now, your big non-conference game, which Texas is not afraid to schedule, and credit to them, is against the defending national champion. But the head coach is gone, the quarterback's gone, the running back's gone, the wide receiver is gone. The second best defensive back, the best linebacker. I mean, they're still really good, but they have it.
It's not the Michigan of last year.
It's not the Michigan of last year, and you get to go to their place, and you are now loaded for bear. That is skill, and you are walking in where you have a great chance to not only beat Michigan in the big house and set yourself up for some bragging rights all year long, especially when it comes down to, should they get sniped a couple times in the SEC? Well, if they beat Michigan by 21 points on Saturday, they're going, well, they beat Michigan in the big house by 21. Well, they're going in.
Mm-hmm.
Like, Texas is the luckiest team there is. Also, if Smokey was here, he would tell you that they don't lose fumbles as much as other teams lose fumbles.
He would handle
and that is truly lucky.
It is.
That's not officiating. I'm not complaining about officiating, but
it's just the way the ball bounces.
In Texas games, if you watch Texas games, they will have guys fumble the ball, and then it's just them and 4 defenders, and all 4 defenders dive over the ball, and they just
pick it up.
Yeah. Honestly, it's like they saw a gypsy. And they were like, okay, what do we have to trade? And every generation, they just take a baby and this is yours now.
Keep that fumble thing going, man.
Yeah. So Quinn Ewer's firstborn son might have to go.
He might be the next one. He might be the chosen one.
Yeah.
It's a compelling argument. I can't really think of another team that benefits from luck like that. My first thought was Oklahoma because they've never really been down, but it's not luck. I mean, it's just that they're a consistent program.
Yeah.
And they recruit well and they hit on their guys.
But Oklahoma, given the resources that Oklahoma and A&M had in the Big 12, and then A&M had in the SEC, especially A&M moving to the SEC, A&M had SEC money, SEC swag, SEC all this stuff for a decade before Texas came in. And then that whole decade, Texas was average. Mm-hmm. They were down. They weren't cool anymore. They kept hiring the wrong coach. And what did A&M do with it? Nothing.
Yeah.
Nothing. You have and really Oklahoma made it to a couple playoffs, but they didn't win. They could have really, really put Texas far behind. All you've got to do is win one of those. Win one. And look, I'm not even saying A&M should win a national title. That's not something that's happened since before America was involved in World War II. But play in an SEC title game,
yeah.
When you have the Heisman Trophy winner,
when you have a generational talent at quarterback,
and you recruit and sign who would be another Heisman Trophy winner, you keep those mofos. You don't lose 2 quarterbacks in the same day. Hey, Kyler, we really like you to come back and be the starter next year. No, I'm leaving. All right. Well, Kyle, how do you feel? Oh, I'm leaving too.
Who we got left now?
Oh, look, Trevor Knight is a grad transfer, and they should build a statue of him.
They saved their ass.
And he was really good for them. It was really good for them. As a matter of fact, had Trevor Knight just been at A&M his whole career, he'd be an A&M legend. He'd have been great for them, all that. He wasn't. Trevor Knight is a forgotten Oklahoma quarterback. I'm not saying they're ungrateful for him, but considering the cavalcade of Heisman winners and contenders that they had after him, feel like, oh yeah, he was here. I remember Katy Perry wanted to bang him.
That was a moment on College Game Day.
Yeah.
Where does Notre Dame stand in your luck rankings?
Well, they haven't capitalized on anything either. Notre Dame feels to me a lot like the Cowboys in that they're always going to be there in the conversation, but they're not going to get over the hump. Right. And they're going to get hype when they don't deserve it. They're going to get criticism also when they don't deserve it, but that's also comes with the,
territory.
Yeah. Territory of getting all kind of noise you don't deserve, positive and negative. I don't think people ever have a realistic look at either one of them. Texas has been a little bit like Cowboys as well. Let's not deny it. They live in the same kind of,
but they figured it out.
But they figured it out. But Notre Dame and the Cowboys, they're very powerful. They have all this stuff. The Cowboys, will have things come to their advantage all the time where they've had seasons where they played 7 backup quarterbacks in a row and went 4-3. Mm-hmm. And you're like, how are you every time
how are you not winning this division?
How are you didn't Aaron Rodgers got hurt in the first half of this Packers game. Matt freaking Flynn comes in you lose that one at home.
What's the slander on Matt Flynn?
I'm not slandering to Matt Flynn.
Garrett's LSU side came out.
But I'm not slandering to Matt Flynn. Been on the show many times. Great guy. But, when
you can't let him win at Cowboy Stadium.
You can't let him win at Cowboy Stadium when you're up by 21 or whatever they were, 17, and Aaron Rodgers, who kills you, is out of the game. Those kind of things. Notre Dame, you guys make your own schedule.
Yes.
People are thrilled to schedule you. Nobody really fights you on it that much. It happens once every 20 years. Somebody's like, well, we don't want to play you anymore and doesn't benefit us as much. And then you move on, but you can always replace them. I mean, Notre Dame can pick up the phone and be like, hey, we'd like to do a home and home with you. And 9 teams out of 10 are like, yeah, sure, we'll do it.
Yeah, let's go.
We'll do it. We want the exposure for sure. Uh-huh. Absolutely. This will be great. TV.
Get on TV, get people in the stands because they got a national brand.
Yeah. You're going to it's going to be great. But every time that they have a chance to do something great,
I think the only thing most Texas people will fight you on is over the past, pre-last year, over the past decade plus, they feel kind of like an unlucky team, but it's really just, it's been mismanaged. That's the issue. It's not like haven't caught any breaks. It's just they haven't been able to capitalize on what's there.
Yeah. Paxton asked me if I thought the most unlucky team was Florida State, and I don't think that's true at all. I know that people think, well, all those wide rights. Well, if you don't have kickers who suck, then you don't have whenever Florida State, if you look at the common denominators between their national championships, Scott Bentley was the kicker, and he was great. Sebastian Janikowski, who's the greatest kicker who will ever walk this earth, was their kicker. And then they had, I'm forgetting his name because he got to the NFL and got the gifts, but he was amazing in college.
The recent guy, right?
Yeah. So they've had all, and plus, they actually Bobby Bowden. I think one of the things was always have a good kicker. Don't let it happen what happened to me. So They have like Dustin Hopkins, great kicker in the NFL, and Graham Gano is the highest paid kicker.
Roberto Aguayo.
Roberto Aguayo. Yeah, Roberto Aguayo. Thank you. So, like, yes. So, again, not having a good kicker is not bad luck. That is bad recruiting. So, it's one of my pet peeves about teams that, look, if you want to go Larry David and take out the goalpost and get all the kickers out of the game, then do that. But if you're still going to have a kicker and a punter, put some effort into recruiting them.
Get somebody that's there. Especially now when it's like, I mean, I assume back in the day, it was kind of hard to recruit kickers because it's not like you had people that were dedicated
to
it.
They have academies.
Yeah, now they have academies. They have services. I mean, you
can go to Australia and go like.
You can get on social media and see a bunch of videos of some kid booming it from 50 out. Like,
yeah. Hey, buddy, do you want to come up to America and where you all you have to do is punt a ball and lift weights and girls are going to bang you? Like, sure, because they like your accent and you're a football player. Good day. I mean, let's be real.
What a great Australian accent.
Crikey. That would be my pitch. Like, do you understand how entertained Americans are by Australians? There are 3 Crocodile Dundee movies.
Have you seen the Hemsworth brothers?
Yes. The Crocodile Hunter was everyone's favorite show. Everyone was devastated when he died.
Yeah, everybody hates eels now.
Davis said, yes. Yeah. Or is it a stingray?
Stingrays.
Stingrays.
Yeah.
My apologies to the eel community.
I need to send you the Norm Macdonald video on the Daily Show with talking about the Crocodile Hunter. It is very savage, but it's very funny.
Was it pre-death or post-death?
Right after.
Okay.
I mean, like a month.
R.I.P. Norm.
Yeah. It was funny though. So I think that would be great. That's what I would do if I'm.
That's your hearing pitch. For sure.
You know what? As a matter of fact, if a school wants me to recruit your kickers for you, give me a call. I'll go all over the world and find them. I don't mind. I talked to the late, great Gil Brandt about this on multiple occasions at Cowboys games because it bothered me so much. And the only thing he said, and the piece of advice he gave when I said, I want to start it like you and me, we're going to do a kicker consultancy. And he never said yes. I don't know if he believed in me, but I really have passion for it. But Gil Brandt said that the biggest problem is that you find these great kickers at these small schools and they've never been in front of all these people before.
So
he told me a story about a guy he got from like Slippery Rock University. So he goes to Slippery Rock University and he goes and watches this kid. I mean, he could kick the ball. Like he said, if they did kickoffs from the end zone, he could hit the other end zone. He was unbelievable.
Wow.
Wasn't accurate as a kicker, but like kickoffs is unreal.
Yeah.
And Danny White was their backup quarterback and the punter, and they really wanted a punter so that Danny White could,
get off the field.
Yeah. And one of the things that would happen to Danny White is when he was the punter, quite often he would get cheap shotted. Mm-hmm. Because they're like, well, if the backup quarterback and the punter are both hurt, then Tom Landry's screwed here. Yeah. So he was like, well, we need to make sure we get a punter. So he goes out and goes to this workout. He's got, they're watching game film, and this guy's averaging like 55 yards a kick. I mean, just booming the ball. Historic things. And he found out about him from like an article in the newspaper, that he read about like Slippery Rock punter sets record for, this, and so he goes up to Slippery Rock and he signs this kid, and they play their first game against the Steelers in the preseason. And every punt goes straight out of bounds. 20 yards. Like he can't do anything.
Shaking everything.
So after the game, Gil's like, buddy, what's going on? Like, I've seen you this is your art. This is what you do. God blessed you with this leg. Like, go be you. There's nothing different about this. Like, football's football. Like, you had plenty of time to kick it. It's not like they were pressuring you or all that. Like, what's going on? And he's like, I've never played in front of more than 700 people in my whole life. And like, here we are in the stadium of 70,000. And he's like, the eyeballs crushed him. And then after that, he saw it again and again and again and again. And he he would look at kickers from small schools, and then he would watch their games against, like when they're playing in big stadiums. And if they missed a kick, he's like, nope, off the list. So, but I've learned that from the greatest scout in the history of,
you know what to look for.
Listen, Gil Brandt is the greatest scout in the history of football. He's one of the best scouts in the history of sports. Bottom line. So I know that about kickers. I didn't learn anything else from him.
But I got the kicker thing now.
Yeah. I lie. I found out how to get free stuff anywhere you go. But yeah, so yeah, he was great. But yes, Texas by far most lucky team.
Yeah, I can't really argue with it. I can't think of another team that has been through a down period and nobody's capitalized. Like Nebraska, hopefully is on the up. Well, hopefully. I mean, they look like they might be on the upswing, but a lot of people around them have capitalized on their
the Big Ten certainly. You know, Ohio State and Michigan have both won national titles since.
I mean, nobody in the pack could ever take advantage of USC being down.
Yeah, the USC might be in the same boat. Oregon got close.
They got close.
Oregon got close, but they didn't. They're the Oklahoma of this scenario.
Yeah, I thought about USC. But,
yeah.
I mean, they're still not really back either.
No,
they got a ways to go.
No.
That was a nice win. Sorry.
Thanks, Steven.
Sorry, Garrett.
Yeah.
My bad.
We're not talking about SU schools. If it's if it's an SU school this week, we're not talking about it. They don't deserve our damn time.
No, they don't.
When we come back, the wheel.
We're gonna wheel it up, baby.
This is 365 Sports.
Fantasy Sports EVO, the next evolution of daily fantasy sports. Tired of traditional fantasy sports where you spend hours upon hours studying individual players? EVO's unique team-based platform makes it easier than ever for all sports fans to play. No need to know individual players. Just choose your contest, select your teams, and enjoy the game. Whether you access our website from a desktop, mobile device, or the app, the experience is the same. EVO is for all sports fans. Join Fantasy Sports EVO and experience the evolution.
This is 365 Sports, powered by Sikkim365.com. Welcome to the Triple Option. Here's your host, Paul Catalina.
Welcome back, Paul Catalina and Stephen Simcox. And Stephen has a wheel topic for us.
Wheel of Whimsy.
Yes, the Wednesday Wheel of Whimsy.
Are we still in negotiations for a new part?
I gotta refocus on that. I gotta check my.
You got a lot going on.
Yeah, football season, like a million podcasts and all that. So,
yeah.
All right. So, what's their wheel topic?
We're doing. How impressed were you with Week 1 performances?
Okay.
On a scale of 1 to 10.
Okay.
So
am I grading them individually? Like
yes, grade them individually. Not
so
ranking.
Not ranking. Okay.
Not ranking.
All right. Good deal. Okay.
All right. So Georgia, 34-3 victory over Clemson.
Very impressed. I'll give that one an 8. The only reason it's not a little bit higher is that Clemson there's a lot of problems. They've got a lot of problems. Dabo Sweeney's arrogance is. We had Zach Gelb said this to us yesterday. Dabo Sweeney's arrogance is what got them there, but it's also what's gotten them here. You know, he's convinced that he's going to do it his way, and you know he just won't, and he's got to adapt. So Georgia was not playing Clemson at their best, so I'm going to knock it down. But to be so far ahead of, I mean, like the gap in the high school recruiting is amazing. Like the talent that they have, it's not just the transfers, it's like the pound for pound talent that Georgia has over Clemson that just 5 years ago was splitting hairs. Like they were the same.
It looks like a game that Georgia would play against like a bad SEC school.
Yeah.
They probably could have put up 50, but they didn't. They just sort of controlled the clock. And
look, Clemson played lights out on defense in the first half, but nobody's afraid of Cade Klubnik right now. Nobody's afraid of that offense. And especially a team like Georgia that's like, all right, well, we're just going to make him try to do stupid things. And they did. And then they knew the defense eventually was going to pop because, if you have no points, it's hard to really, get going.
All right. So sticking with the ACC and teams that, could, I guess, take over Clemson if they continue to struggle. Miami with a 41-17 win over Florida in the Paul Catalina Bowl.
Very impressed with Miami. Not so impressed with Florida. But I'll give that one a 7.5 just because Florida's like even further down than I expected. And I didn't have high hopes for them or high expectations. I don't have hopes for them at all.
You didn't have high expectations for them.
I didn't have high expectations. There's no hopes for either of those teams. My hopes are very low for both of them. I hope that they're both a disaster. That doesn't always happen, and karma will get you, as I'm living right now. But yeah, I was very impressed with Miami along the fronts. Everything looks to have worked out for them. We'll see if they can sustain it. Like Miami's problem is not talent. Miami's problem is their coaching.
Yeah.
And Mario Cristobal has to go from being this elite recruiter to an elite developer and coach. And he's not quite there yet, but he might be able to do it with this crew because Cam Ward is pretty much already developed and they just need to let him go and be Cam Ward.
Are they the ACC favorites?
I would say right now they are.
With that schedule, they have to be, man.
Yeah. I mean, their schedule is very favorable too.
Cam Ward so my in-laws were in town this weekend. Cam Ward's from my wife's hometown. He's from West Columbia, Texas, which is Southeast Texas. And they were all just shocked that they're happy. They're really happy for him, but they were like, this is not the person that we watched play football 7 years ago. I mean, he's just completely different.
Yeah.
It's rare that you see somebody take off like that once they get to college.
Yeah.
But he's figured it out. Okay. Big 12 wise, Oklahoma State 44-20 over South Dakota State in Stillwater.
I mean, that's a 5. They should have, they did what they had to do. Ollie Gordon, all that. South Dakota State, showed a little gumption. I mean, they're the defending national champs in the SES, and Jimmy Rogers is a fantastic coach who is going to probably be the next Kalen DeBoer. But I don't. I can't be all that impressed with it.
How impressed were you with Colorado getting that victory against? I mean, I know it was a competitive game, but they do beat North Dakota State 31-26 last week.
About a 3.
Really?
About a 3. I mean, they've not changed my perception of them at all. I think they look like a 5-7 team right now, where all 5 wins are going to come on the fact that they've got some really skilled players at the skill positions, but their lines are not impressive. And I think that when you get into the teeth of the Big 12, that's going to be a lot like you got into the teeth of the Pac-12 last year, and all those teams were better than you. And, they're going to scare some people and they're going to win some games by just scoring a lot early and putting the other team behind the 8 ball. That's what I worry about. When they play Baylor in a couple weeks.
Yeah. That could get weird.
If they get out in front of Baylor, I'm not sure Baylor has the ability to, come back. But if Baylor can go there and hang with them and, cause some turnovers and create some problems, it's a high school offense. Garrett said it. RJ Young said it. I'm watching it and seeing it's a high school offense, and I don't think it's sustainable. And it's not even a high school defense right now.
Penn State beating West Virginia 34-12.
Very impressed.
It was like a 9-hour game.
That's like a 9.8. I was very impressed with them. Penn State looked a lot different than they did last year. They were bigger, stronger, faster, better in every single regard than West Virginia, who, as you know, last week I doubled down on West Virginia saying that they would win the game, and I was very wrong. Doff of the cap to you, James Franklin.
Notre Dame beating Texas A&M on the road 23-13.
7. I think their offense needs to be a little bit better. But again, A&M's defense is really good. Mike Elko's a defensive genius. Marcus Freeman's a defensive genius. That game went exactly how both of them wanted it to go until until Notre Dame had the long touchdown. Then that was what's going to happen. Like whoever broke the one long offensive play was going to win the game, and it was Notre Dame. And they did it late, and they won the game. But I was very impressed. I was impressed with most of what A&M was doing, except for Connor Wigman, who had a really rough night. And I'm curious to see when he plays against a defensive coordinator in the SEC that's maybe not as good as Marcus Freeman is at Notre Dame and what he can do. But he exposed a lot of weaknesses. And I don't know if he just hadn't played that much, really. So this actually think about how he got hurt a year ago. And they wound up losing to Miami after he got hurt in that game. Right. But when he was playing, they were doing well. But Miami wasn't that good last year. I don't think he's ever played a team like Notre Dame. So that's his first game against a really good team. So he got hurt really early in the year.
Yeah, I'm shocked. I mean, like, I know college football fans are like this, but is anybody else shocked that they've just jumped off the Connor Wegman bandwagon so fast?
No, it's College Station, Texas. It's exactly what they do. I can give you a long history of quarterbacks that they loved and then all of a sudden didn't love anymore.
Yeah.
Gerard Johnson, Ryan Tannehill, Stephen McGee.
I was about to say McGee.
Reggie
Cowboys
McNeil.
Legend Stephen McGee.
Reggie McNeil. Like, honestly, the only two quarterbacks I can think of loved from beginning to end by A&M fans are Johnny Manziel and Bucky Richardson. That's it. Bucky Richardson could kill a guy in College Station, and they'd be like, well, what do you say to Bucky?
What about Kubiak? Would he fall in that?
I was so little, I don't really have a recollection of it. Nobody talks about Gary Kubiak.
I know he's kind of lost.
No, because long ago, but like he's
talking about him as coach.
Yeah, he's like the third or fourth best quarterback.
Yeah,
in their history. So,
how impressed or concerned were you with Arizona giving up 39 points to New Mexico? They did win 61.
That defense has got to get better. Very impressed. Like I'm like 10 impressed with the offense and 4 impressed with the defense. So let's split the difference on that. But Teterow, McMillan, and Noah Fafita are problems.
Yeah,
they're problems.
Okay. You talked about them in the last segment. Texas blanking Colorado State 52-0.
I mean, I'm not impressed with them pitching a shutout against Colorado State, although Torrey Horton is a receiver there, and I thought he would at least like get a couple. They completely shut him down. He's a really good player. But I'm impressed that they did it. They did it without looking sloppy. They did like it wasn't like one of those things where sometimes you can have a 52-0 win that like masks a lot of your issues because the team you're playing a team that's just so far down below you athletically. But no, they looked like that was a prepared team ready to go. They didn't make mistakes. They didn't take stupid chances. There weren't plays in that game that like you watch and like, oh, Colorado State should have had that and they didn't. It was like, no, Texas just rolled through them. So yeah. I mean, I'll probably feel like I'm going to be a 10 impressed with Texas next week because I think they're going to go in and shred Michigan.
All right, we got a little bit of time here. Let's do some watchability rankings for this week, or just 1 to 10. Oklahoma State and Arkansas, Paul.
7. I mean, that's exciting. I mean, I could get out of hand with if they can't stop the run, but I think that it's a big game for Sam Pittman. It's important for him to go in and beat a ranked team.
Baylor, Utah, 2:30 start in Salt Lake City.
I think that one will be about an 8. I really do. I think Baylor's going to, take some chances, sling the rock around, let DeQuan Finn get loose. They've got to, because if they allow Utah to play their game, then it's going to be tough. But they really hung with Utah last year. Now Cam Rising wasn't there and Brent Keithy wasn't there. So I don't know how much we can put into last year. Now Emory's picked them to win.
Really?
What? Bro, okay.
I mean, they played him really tough last year.
Yeah. But I think
being on the road is just going to be tough.
Yeah, Rice Eccles. Baylor's historically not good on the road. I mean, name a coach not good on the road.
There you go.
Yeah.
As he's rocking the Colorado pullover.
Yeah.
Cyhawk game, Iowa State.
Oh, probably about a 7, maybe a 6. I don't know. Like, it should be better offensively, but I have this game's always hard to watch.
Yeah.
honestly, like it's like I don't know. I don't want to use that analogy. People are going to take it wrong. But do you ever watch 30 Rock?
Yes.
You know the like when Tracy went and EGOT'd, the movie he got the Oscar for was called Hard to Watch. That's what that is.
Yeah, it's a rock fight. I mean, that's what it is.
Yeah.
Kansas and Illinois.
I'm gonna say a 7 on that one. Illinois' got a sellout crowd. I think Kansas will take it to them, but at least I think Illinois is going to be in there for a fight.
Right. And then Michigan and Texas.
10. Absolutely. I mean, it's a great team against in Texas. It's going to be really good against the defending national champions who are a shell of themselves, at least on offense, from a year ago. And, but I think it still will be
formidable
and fun to watch. I mean, like Michigan's defense isn't just going to be like, ho hum. We don't have two great quarterbacks, that, well, I don't know if Arch is great yet, but like, we don't have two quarterbacks that we can, roll out there and win this game with. We don't even know like what we're doing here really. So they don't have 4 wide receivers that are all studs. They didn't lose, maybe that, like, honestly, the most talented tight end in Texas history. Like, you can argue with me on Jermichael Finley, but Jatavian Sanders, Jermichael Finley to me would be 1 and 1A, for that. And then they were just replacing with a guy who's super athletic and Amari Niblack. And it's kind of the same thing, although we didn't see him a whole lot last week. But I think that in this game in particular, Amari Niblack is going to be a factor because you're going to have to use your big guys a little bit more because Michigan's huge. So I expect to see Amari Niblack. But this is one of the things that I talked about with Michigan last year, and they did a good job with Washington where they roughed them up. But I wondered if the skill players on teams like this would be too much for them. I think the skill players now are too much for them. Texas hasn't missed a beat. You lose Adonai Mitchell and Xavier Worthy and Jatavian Sanders, and you just kind of hit refresh, and there's Isaiah Bond and Matthew Golden and Jonte Cook and Niblack, and Silas Bolden's there now too. So I think they could come out of it in waves. It's one of the reasons I thought that FSU could hang with Michigan if they had played them, because Michigan had not played a team with a quarterback like Jordan Travis, and had Jordan Travis been there like the whole season, I'm like, I think they could match up well with Michigan. It's a reason that I thought that them in Texas or them in Washington would all have been ridiculous shootouts. Even as good as all 3 of those defenses were, I would think it would have tilted towards shootout. I thought they could have maybe hung with Michigan. I thought Texas could have hung with Michigan too for that same reason. And I was surprised that Washington didn't do better, but part of it was because they just beat the crap out of Michael Penix. But but yeah, I think Texas is going to show out. I really do.
All right, Paul, what's coming up on the big show in
on the big show, we have Brian Howell of the Colorado Daily Camera. He's still allowed. He's allowed to ask questions in the press conference. I want to ask him about that, but I don't want to get him banned from asking questions in the press conference. Mitch Sherman from The Athletic to talk a little. We got Colorado, Nebraska talk today. I feel like Smokey's reticent to dive into that game. This is the
nervous, man.
This is the last day this week that they're going to be here, and we've not talked about it all that much. And it's one of the better games of the week. And so we'll have Mitch Sherman. We've got Mickey Spagnola and, oh my God, Tim Brando. So we've got those guys today. And we are going to do our pod 1, which is OSU, Baylor, Tech, and TCU Big 12 weekly preview. Craig's off the radar, my top 5. And it is 1:59 p.m. And that means it's time to go, Steven.
See you next week, Paul.
Yes. I love you.